Hello, everyone. This is Big Papa Shim here in the Healing, Joy, and Hope podcast. Today, I have an amazing friend with me as a guest. His name is Gil Steinberg. He's a total buddy, an amazing musician, a really amazing dad, and an audio engineer who's on the amazing team at Waves Audio. I'm going to open it up for him to tell us a little bit about himself and the projects that he's been involved in at Waves.
So hi, yes, my name is Gil, and I did start my career as an audio engineer for a long time. I had a recording studio back in my old apartment, and then I kind of pivoted to create a software, and I joined the team at Waves Audio, where I got to work at a couple of big projects, two of which won awards. And that would be the NAM Award and the Technical Emmy Award. So Clarity VX is a plugin that I worked on, and obviously the Clarity VX Deer River plugin that came out, and we got a lot of exciting things that we're working on. And yeah, music's a big part of my life. I've been a composer, wrote a couple of soundtracks for stuff, wrote a bunch of songs. Yeah.
So Emmy winner and NAM winner. NAM here means NAMM for all of you who don't know, which actually I think the 2025 NAM is going on right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Yep.
I saw some
Look for the Waves
amazing
audio
clips.
booth.
Yeah, where is it this year?
Uh, well, I'm still in LA, even though the whole fire thing's going on. But
Wow.
supposedly it's supposed to be okay.
Okay. So NAM 2025 LA Waves audio booth, but Gil is not there.
No.
Gil is here in Israel with his family, his beautiful children. Okay, cool. So we're gonna get now into a meditation. Do you have experience with meditation, Gil?
I actually do. Just got back into it a couple of months ago. I've been pretty steady in it ever since.
Amazing. So it's gonna be about a 10-minute meditation that I'm gonna guide, and I want to make it clear, like I always do for everyone out there. I don't decide before what's gonna be. We're gonna get into the moment. We're gonna be present, and we're gonna just let it flow. But I will start the guidance off like as if we're total beginners, don't know anything. For the people out there who maybe don't have experience. How is that for you, Mr. Gill?
That was real nice. I actually did meditate today, so this was a really nice double up on that. That's nice for sure.
Awesome. I'm excited. So, for everyone out there in the world who's watching or listening, we today will be listening to an amazing classic, Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin. An absolute beautiful song, a classic. Most of us grew up with this song maybe on the radio, at least those of us who grew up with like English rock and roll on the radio. And the lyrics of the song, growing up as a kid, I didn't really understand the lyrics of the song. I just heard the line "Cats in the Cradle" and but
Right.
then now, as we're gonna go over the song, we'll all see the song is very deep, and it's a song about fatherhood, and I think it will be a great conversation starter, both on the musical side and on the spiritual, emotional therapy side. All right, so I'm gonna put it on. Wow. Wow, what a song.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I
Go ahead.
have, okay, before we get into the lyrics and like what the song is about and maybe what it brings up for us, let's nerd out for a minute on the music. Like I have actually some questions to ask you what you think. First of all, the main riff, is that an acoustic guitar or like a sitar? Like it's to me it sounds like a super bright acoustic guitar.
There's definitely You can definitely hear some acoustic guitar in there, like some steel string instrument of some sort. It might even be like a mandolin, but it's doubled
Mm.
up by a sitar for sure.
So you think it's
Um,
doubled up by a sitar? I'm gonna
some
check that out.
some
Wow.
Far East instruments up top on that for sure, and it also has a pretty interesting chord structure too, which
Really? What is
which
it? I didn't even notice that.
so there's a and I forget the term for it. It's when you take a chord from a different scale and fit it in yours. It's not really an secondary dominant one they do, but it starts with with like the whole thing is in the key of E, right? E
Okay.
major. So
Okay.
it starts with an E, then it goes to I think it's in should be a D, right? In the chorus, and it gets in the silver spoon, right? And then it goes to a G major, which does not fit in E major at all. It does belong to it does fit in either E minor or D major, right? Which just came from D. So it kind of leads nicely like that, but it's something you might call non-functional, non-functional.
They're changing
Uh,
the scale.
it's not necessarily changing the scale. That's it's just fitting one chord that is not fitting the scale to give it like a bit of some spiciness to the sound of the whole thing. So we
Hmm.
go from there and then go back to an A, which would be the the fourth degree in the scale, and the whole thing leads really nicely. It feels nice when you listen to it, but it's also kind of just a bit off in a way that I think kind of fits with the narrative as well. Like you think things are going in a certain way, then they go in a different way, and it kind of
Hmm.
runs back.
Interesting.
It's something you hear a lot in music from that era, but it works really well, especially in those choruses for sure. There's a lot of G
Wow.
major. I think that there's a lot of G major in the verses as well.
So
It's perfect.
you agree that it sounds almost like there's a very bright steel string like acoustic guitar, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
a sitar or something else
Mm-hmm.
together with that, which
Yeah.
is interesting. And there's a few other things. First of all, the violin, like the background
Mm-hmm.
violins on like,
Yeah.
oh, it's so beautiful, and like in the
Mm-hmm.
solo. But the thing I never noticed till this time was the bass, especially in the beginning of the song when it first comes in. Boom, 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 boom,
Mm-hmm.
boom, boom, boom. Wow, wow, heavy
Mm-hmm.
bass, heavy
Right.
bass. Um, and I really like how the riff, like the riff that the main riff is like it's like the theme of it, and they keep bringing it in, and they even end the song with it too, which is
Right.
awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
The whole
yeah.
thing works really well between the composition of it, the way they produced it, like the harmony of it, the bass line, kind of the way it traces the chords in a way that's very natural, and like small intervals between as we go from the E to the D, then back to the E again. Run the later part of of the verses, and it really works. The whole thing really works. But the thing is, like again, we could talk about the production of it for hours. We can talk about what they do with the music for hours. Like the lyrics, man.
Oh,
they
okay. We can get straight into that. I mean, the first of all, the main line of the cats in the crate, like that, it's interesting because the whole song goes. The song is very clear. It's a story about a dad who doesn't have enough time for his kid because he has to, work and take care of his family. But his kid always looks up to him, and he still wants to be like him, and he misses those key points when he learns to walk, when he gets his first trophy at soccer or something like that.
right after that.
Yeah, and but the kid says, "I want to be like you," and he smiles and turns around and goes on his way. Like the kid loves his dad no matter what. And then over time, as the kid gets older, he comes home from college, and the dad starts to notice like how proud he is of him, and he finally starts to notice how he wants to spend time with him. And the kid's like, "Sorry, dad, give me the keys to the car. I gotta go see my girlfriend or something like that. We'll hang out later." And then over time he retires, and he finally wants to spend time with his kid, his grandkids, whatever. And his son's like, "Hey dad, what's up? It's been nice talking to you on the phone, but I don't have any time for you."
Right.
And then he sits there and he says, "I realize like he did grow up like me, you
Right. That
know?"
line kind of starts like something that's positive, and it kind of turns to a threat midway through the song. right? Like I'm
Well,
gonna
it
turn
turns
it.
into him reflecting on maybe his parenting wasn't,
Right, but it's
the
like
modeling he
I'm gonna be
did.
like you. I'm gonna be like you. It's like an ideal kind of thing that you think about as a parent to begin with. But then, in the context of this pattern of him not being present, I'm gonna be like you. That in that sense kind of turns into a threat midway through the song for me. Um,
Yeah, but I
sure.
want to say something that I never spoke about so much. Like, so, but the song is beautiful. Like it's structured in a way where the timeline
Right.
makes sense, right? From when the kid is
Mm-hmm.
small to as he gets older and the guy gets older.
Mm-hmm.
Like each stanza goes perfectly in the order. It's a story that it's telling you.
Uh,
Hello,
I hope you're only frozen on my end.
Gil. Hello. Hello, Gil.
Yep.
I don't know what happened. Okay, so what I was saying is that I'll have to edit that whole part out.
Right.
We're back. um, I'm using the hotspot from my phone to make sure that the internet is stable, and then someone called my phone and it like knocked it out or
Right.
something.
Right.
Okay, so anyways, so
I want to give it a few
the way
minutes
the
to kind
lyrics
of
the way
look.
the lyrics
The video
are
quality on my end is pretty bad. Looking, it's just now stabilizing. You might want to wait and restart now because right now the video quality is actually back to what it was before. So
okay. One,
maybe
two,
start now.
three. We're back. We had some technical difficulties, but we're back. So we're
Okay.
talking about the lyrics. So the lyrics are beautiful. Are first of all just amazing. Like it's telling a story. It's very clear. The timelining of it from when the kid is just born to when he's older, and the guy from when he's a young dad building his career to the. It's all great. But then the main line of the chorus of the cats in the cradle, like what is that? It's like what does that mean? That whole thing.
So I've been thinking a lot about this, and in general, like I want to get into what the song was meant for me specifically when I heard it
We
today,
will. We
but
will.
we'll
Yeah.
get to that in a second. Um, So I've been thinking a lot about that. So Cats in the Cradle, it's like a type of game, right? Where you've got the strings over the fingers, you can move it from finger to finger, right? So that's what a cat in cradle, right? That's right. That's what
Ah,
that
that game with
means,
the string that you do
right?
where you make the shapes. Ah,
And yeah,
wow.
so that's
Forgot
called
about that.
a cat in the cradle, right?
Hmm.
And the silver spoon is like a metaphor for when like a child is growing up with like lots of money, right?
Okay.
So that I'm trying to break apart like the two phrases and see if I can kind of make sense of it. So that's like the childhood game the thing when you move the string from hand to hand, right? And then you've got the silver spoon, which kind of has that whole thing, like the connotation with money, like growing up with money.
Okay.
And
Like
there's
spoiled kind of thing.
the little boy blue and the man in the moon. So little boy blue, I think that there's like a poem about that, like a little boy blue, right? Am I right about
Might
that?
be. Yeah, might be.
Little boy blue. Fairly sure there's like a poem about like, a boy like that, but whatever. That probably refers to like his son, right? And Man in the Moon is probably him, as in him not
Ah,
being
like the
present,
dad
being
is
right
like a
on the
god or
moon.
something.
Like, I don't know, but just not being like being far away, like being a man on the moon. So,
Interesting.
so the way I kind of constructed it is like you've got the childhood game, you got the boy that's maybe been passed from hand to hand, but not through his father because he's not present. Maybe you got people who take care of him, but not the dad. Uh, under the pretense of giving him a good life, maybe that's the silver spoon, right? Making sure he has money and
Hmm.
so they can live. He's like focusing on the career, so they have money.
Hmm.
And the result of that is the boy and the dad being very far away. Like there's a little boy blue, but the dad's on the moon. That's what I got from that. Especially,
Interesting.
but it's definitely mysterious. Yeah, so I was just giving my best guess because you're not gonna get a real answer for that. But I just kind of broke down the elements of what he says, and each one of them can kind of fit in the same kind of thematic world. And I thought you might kind of glean what he meant through that. I know that the song was based on like a poem that his wife wrote, and then over time it became about him, like for him, for like about the relationship between him and his son.
Hmm.
I mean, the whole thing is it's very real and touching in that sense. So yeah, it's a powerful song.
So let's get into the discussion. Like, what does this song bring up for you as a parent or as a child? like,
Right.
what do you see as the main themes here, and what let's say what do you use in your life? And I can talk about me as well. What do either of us use in our life to maybe not make the mistake of teaching our kids that we don't have enough time for them, you know?
So I don't really know where to start on this one because it really just hit me on so many levels when I heard it, and it was such a big gift for me, for you to choose that song for today. And I don't know if you had it in mind. I don't know if this was pre-planned in that sense, but it just really hit a chord with me. If you mind the pun of that caliber. Um,
We'll allow it.
right. So, um, I've been aware of this song forever, like you. I mean, I didn't really grow up with that song, but I've been aware of it, especially the chorus, like you said. But I've never really paid attention to the lyrics, which is fitting because once I did pay attention to the lyrics, and if you will, when I was actually present and listening to the words, like like a world opened up to me. And specifically today, I woke up pretty early. If you guys don't mind me being giving you all the details, I woke up pretty early, and I had to spend some time with my baby. I watch over her. I was still drowsy from sleep. My wife and my oldest were still asleep. It was like 5:36 in the morning. And I was kind of looking for things to do to keep my mind engaged. Listening to stuff on my phone. And at one point, I was like, maybe I should listen to that song, like Shimon sent to me. And I put it on, and and those lyrics hit me like a ton, like a bag of bricks, man, right in the face about being present. And I was there, and my baby in the room, and I was just trying to kind of not bother with being present with her at that time, to find something else to do. And again, I mentioned how I just got back into meditation, and the whole thing about being present, like it's a major theme with that as well, and what it means to be present. And like we've been thinking a lot about whether or not it's the right idea to put the kids in like kindergarten, or going back to the whole like you used to do homeschooling for a bit for my oldest. Like this is something that I've been really like tossing in my mind for a while, and then that song came up and like touched exactly on that. Like I'm what you might consider a really present dad. I've had that privilege, especially since COVID happened.
Witness.
When COVID happened, I got to spend the whole first year of my daughter's life, being there, which is not something that's very like a lot of people my age kind of look to like get away from that, and I got that as a gift. I mean, COVID obviously was awful, but that was kind of a bright side to that, and still, even with that within that space of me being really involved in everything that has to do with my kid's life, there is still this element of being not being present even when you're present, like your
Mm.
mind being elsewhere, but even though you're in the room with them, just kind of trying to get away in that sense. Um, and it's like again, and whole everything connects in such a beautiful way. Like if we're talking about meditation again, that's a big thing over there. And like where is your mind? You started with all talking about where your mind was. For just,
So, do you have,
so
Gil, any tips or tools that you personally use in your life that help you to be more present when you're with your kids?
Well, I'm definitely gonna be trying harder to actually be fully present these days. You know, like since like giving the whole gift of today. But generally speaking, I feel like the what's the word I'm looking for? The fact that I have been in their life, the fact that I know them, and that I like being with them because I know them, they know me. It really helps with that because hanging out with them is a lot more fun when we actually know who they are, and there's kind of a rapport going back and forth, and you know what they like, they know what you like, and they can start from a really young age. So for me, just the fact that I have been present kind of helps me be more present,
Mm.
and it's kind of a cycle in a sense.
You're
The more
saying
distant you
do it
are,
from the beginning, so it becomes easier over time.
yeah, for sure. It's not only does it make it easier, I mean, it makes it more fun, and it, a lot of gaps in our lives are imaginary, right? Like you haven't done a thing, and so doing the thing becomes more and more like in your head becomes more and more impossible to do.
Mm.
But then you just start doing it, and you see it's not as bad as you think, and so kind of that big gap shrinks.
Hmm.
So again, just kind of being there from the beginning, wanting to be there from the beginning, seeing the parenting is a fun is a thing that you actually want to be a part of, not just this thing that's dropped off on you. For me, that makes all the difference in the world.
So viewpoint and not looking at it as like a burden and finding ways to like enjoy it.
Right, for sure, absolutely.
That's awesome. And I wanted to ask another question about this song. Like, do you think that us, our kids, anyone's kid, like, do you think as kids that we look up to our dad, our mom, in a way where they can do no wrong, like no matter what, no matter how they treat me, I still say to myself, I want to be like them. Like, how do you relate to that idea in the song?
Well, I think so. I think we're always looking for models of how to kind of make sense of our lives and feel like there's like a certain direction to where we're going, and they gives us confidence in a sense. And your parents are everything when you grow up. You know, your parents are without flaw. Your parents are like, uh, um, and everything they do, you don't have the context by which to judge whether or not the things they're doing that make sense for you. It's just you gotta take the whole thing like wholesale, right? Uh, so it's definitely, especially as a kid, it's definitely this traumatic moment happens when you kind of switch over and kind of start saying things uh, from like start seeing your parents as people. But up until that point, everything they do is just you kind of sign off on it, and you kind of want to be you want to be like them for sure.
And um, do you think that it's like there's a direct correlation between the way we spend time with our children to them eventually wanting to be with us or put their effort and time into us?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing that I mentioned before, just on a larger scale. If you don't become friends with your kids when they grow up, then there's no way you're gonna be friends with them when they're older, right? Like to the point where you might not even know who they are. And I can speak from myself, but I know that a lot of people are like that too. You cannot learn to grow to have a persona for when you're in the house, when you're with your family, and a different persona when you're out the house with your friends. And kind of and over time you develop this appreciation for which of these two personas is the real you, right? And if that is encouraged, if you're not encouraged to be yourself at home, then that gulf between the two personas is just going to go larger and larger, and by the end of it, your parents don't even know who you are. So it's definitely not going to be an environment you want to be spending more and more time. Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, one interesting thing is, and I think that's inevitable for all of us. Even if you're the most extreme, I'm not gonna be like my parents person in the world. Like if you're gonna go the exact opposite way that song is talking about, you are still inevitably going to adopt certain things uh, from your parents, and you might not
Yeah.
realize that until you become a parent yourself.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
uh, but it's definitely there. Something that you want to adapt, something that you realize you've adopted, and you're not really into. Uh, so yeah, it's a very interesting phenomenon for sure.
Yeah, if someone wants to like learn how to forgive their parents and accept them at least on some level,
Right.
then become a parent yourself, and then you'll understand
Right.
that's when you start to understand, like, oh, this is the hardest thing in the universe. There's
Right.
no, I mean, it's not true that there's no books teaching about parenting, but like there's really nothing that can prepare you about being a parent, and basically the only way you really know how to parent is by how you were parented. So like
Right.
whether you like it or not only are you going to end up adopting some of that stuff, like the environment you grew up in is such a big part of creating who you are that you're definitely going to repeat some of that stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
um I joke with people, like, I find it funny also how if you get into the, I come from the back, you know this, but maybe other people listening don't know this. My profession is, I'm a psychotherapist and I work with people, and I'm a clinical social worker, etc. And sometimes look at the field, in the therapy field, and I find it funny that so many of the people who are, let's say, couples counselors or couples therapy are either people who were never married or people who are divorced. Like, it's just this funny thing. I'm not.
Right.
I've done my research, and it's this weird kind of phenomenon. And I also find it funny how a lot of people who are doing like teaching, who are doing, in Israel we call it hadrachat horim. They're doing like counseling for parents about parenting skills and stuff, are like young people who never had kids themselves. It's just it's like funny, or like people who are teaching people how to like make a successful business, like never made any money on their own, like it's just
Right.
funny. um I don't know why I brought that up, but I find it to be funny. But my point is, like, there's certain experiences in life that unless you're in it, you literally can't really truly appreciate it or understand what it's like. And parenting is one of those things that you can't understand what it feels like to, like, you were talking about, you woke up at like 5:30 in the morning to take care of a child. You can't really understand what it feels like to have to take care of another human being when you have no sleep and no time to yourself, and you
Right.
figure, the mortgage, and it's just like the never ending amount of responsibilities. So like
Right.
I want to actually flip it for a second to, like, let's look at the dad for a second. Like, it's easy in the song to kind of judge the dad and maybe have some sort of anger, like, oh, you're neglecting your family, or you're not present for the kids or whatever. But like, if we look at it from a more empathic perspective for ourselves and for other dads out there, like, raising a family, making a living, supporting a family, and having all the different time in your life for all the different parts of what make life up is, and balancing all those things is like a job in itself. And you know I guess I have empathy for the dad too, who could be any of us. I mean, we're both dads, for those moments of like, I wish I could have given more, or it what like I want to say, let's not look at it necessarily as like he's a neglectful dad, and more like he just always was too busy, because he had to support the family or whatever.
Well, I hear you 100% on that. I don't think anyone sets up to be a bad parent. I think everyone always wants to do their best, and there's the issue of the fact that, like you said, being a parent is the most difficult thing in the world. Um, and it's not just waking up. If you wake up in 5:30 in the morning and you need to take care of this child, and it's not. and even just getting past the whole basic, be able to change a diaper at 5:30 in the morning if you haven't slept all night. Then you want to be empathic. Then you want to be present. Then you want to be choose the right parenting school of parenting. Not being too behavioral, not being too whatever, right? And that's a whole other layer. Which how are you even supposed to kind of put that in there? And that given the fact that being a parent for the most part means giving up on a large chunk of what he was to be you before parenting started. So I think it's really hard when you're in motion, when everything's happening, to really distinguish between me trying to do everything, like doing my part and giving my family everything they need, and being a provider, and taking care of our Maslow's pyramid basic needs, right? Putting food on the table, and then finding time for self-expression and making sure that you are achieving things and developing yourself, and sometimes everything melts together. Like you might be really overachieving at work, and in your head you're telling yourself, I'm trying to be the best parent that I can. But in fact, a big chunk of that is just you trying to hold on to this piece of what you used to define yourself before. So definitely no judgment there. Just a lot of empathy. Just there's a lot of pain in realizing everything you're talking about when you're 60 and when it's way too late to fix anything.
Yeah. I think it also comes down to like. It's a mixture of a lot of things. It's a mixture of survival. It's a mixture of priorities. It's a mixture of ability. I would say that we're good friends. We know each other. I would say that we're the kind of dads that are very present and have a lot of those skills of the playfulness, the just a lot of skills of being able to be there, like on the same level with our kids and be with them on a certain level. But a lot of guys, stereotypically, a lot of men, it's hard for them. They don't necessarily have the balance in those different elements, and it's also sometimes it's like they don't necessarily have the skills, and then it's just so uncomfortable, and
Right.
and they maybe only know how to be in that role as disciplined daddy, or whatever, or
Right.
provider man,
Yeah.
and to balance those hats, like you said, while you're trying to. Most of us are having kids in our 20s or 30s, right?
Right.
These are the years when, like, not only are you trying, like, building your career slash just getting by, especially here in Israel, which it's like making a living here is just so insane. But it's also like all the things we're doing, like having marriage or a relationship, having children, building a career. We're all doing it for the first time. So
Right.
it's like, and all of it at the same time. It's like insane when you think about it.
And then what do you have as a role model, right? Right. What template do you have to use to kind of guide yourself through that process? And for the most part, for all of us, it's just going back and seeing what your dad
What
did,
mom and dad
what
did.
what your dad did, what your mom did, right? And and for most of us, especially like men, society kind of trains us to put aside all those tools that might make us more comfortable with parenting. Emotional availability is something that's kind of frowned upon for men, and that's around the world. Being playful, you're supposed to be this serious, this stoic, this powerful, stable person in everyone's life, and that kind of goes against what you might need to be a silly dad that has fun with his kids. Um, and not only that, I think for a lot of people, and I can tell you from just talking to friends of mine, uh, uh, having a kid is kind of sort of this thing that the wives do, right? They want a kid, so they're gonna have a kid, and they're gonna take care of the kid, and I'm just gonna be there and do what's needed, but it's her thing, right? and that's encouraged, in a sense, because you're not trained to be a dad, because you're not involved throughout the whole process, because you're not there through the pregnancy in the same sense that she is. When the time comes to actually be a parent, they're happy to push you out of the room and be like, dude, just live this thing. You have no idea what's going on. I've been reading things on Facebook for months before this. I'm an expert on. I've been through all these.
I read the book. Yeah, I read the book.
Yeah,
on
I read all
parenting.
the books.
Yeah.
Right, so you just step aside, be here when I need to pick up the groceries or something. So yeah, it's definitely things are stacked against you as a guy. If you want to be a good dad, a present dad.
Yeah. So we only have a few minutes left. Because, well, first of all, there was technical difficulties which burned up some time. But also, we're gonna hit our hour mark soon. Um, I wanna open up just for a few moments of discussion of you touched upon this thing like about identity, about the ability to kind of still have me throughout, whether it's while you're in a relationship, a serious relationship, living with another person, building a family, children, whatever. And I want to open that up for like a moment of discussion where sometimes, especially when you're just having your children, first, second, third kid, like there's a certain period of time where, and the kids are small and they need you in like the most basic ways, basic survival, you like you said, changing diapers, etc. Where it's so intense that if you get like a moment, like an hour to yourself during a week, you could be lucky. There's like times in life
Right.
like that. And how do you maintain, how do we as men who are trying to provide and have children, how do we maintain our identity when there's not a lot of practical time, let's say, to put into that? And maybe you and I can share what helps us, for ourselves and for other people.
So that is such an important and wonderful question to bring up. And I can let me put it this way: when we set off, that's me and my partner, when we set off to being parents, we decided that we're gonna put kids first above everything else, and we're gonna do everything they need, and we're gonna make sure that they get everything they need from us. And there was such a big difference, like that first place, which was the kids, and that second place, which was everything that had to do with us. There was such a big difference between these two that we essentially starved everything else on the list, to the point where, obviously, to begin with, our kids were very happy about that. But over time, we can feel how we were actually hurting them by not taking care of ourselves. We got to the point where uh, we were hurting ourselves, as in we were not as healthy as we might have been. We were not as happy as we might have been. We didn't have as much energy as we might need, and also the relationship was essentially gone because we did not put aside any time for our relationship, for like a 2 hour date once every couple of weeks. Like, we did not do anything like that, to a point where, again, like, you can say, talk about putting your kids first, but when the partners don't have a good relationship anymore, then that's gonna hurt the kids. Like, absolutely, like,
For sure.
100%. So what we have been trying to do in the last couple of years is gonna put a real emphasis on finding that time. And you can always find that time. It might be difficult. You might have to use money, or you might have to use connections, your relationships. You might have to ask for favors, and you might have to kind of do some extra work on one day. Like, me as a dad, I might have to take both the kids, for a couple of hours to give my partner some time. She might have to do that for me. And when those opportunities come to go on vacation with the grandparents, make sure they watch over the kid for a couple of hours, or I get that babysitter for the weekend so you can go and get the massage or something. You
Mm.
just gotta do it. You have to do it. You guys gotta be balanced. You can't forget about your kids. I know a lot of parents do that too. We just say fuck it.
Yeah.
I spend less time with my kids than I do on a surfboard or whatever. But I think that's obviously you gotta find a balance there. But you gotta find time to take care of yourself because as much as you want to drive people around in your life car, if you don't fuel that, if you don't put fuel in the tank, you're not gonna go anywhere. With all the goodwill in the world, is not gonna get you anywhere if you don't have fuel in the car, in that metaphorical car.
Nice. Yeah, I love everything you said, and what it boils down to is like I'm about to call it basic skills, but these are things that are super hard to learn and practice, which is like prioritizing, time management, delegation, working as a team, and like you said, like being willing to ask for help, to utilize your resources, whether it's family or babysitters or friends, but like you said, really understanding that self-care is a question. It's not a luxury. Self-care is not a luxury. Self-care is your sanity and ability to be like to give back to others, including your kids, your spouse, whatever. I want to add one point to that, which is um for okay, for me on a personal level, I could share a bunch of things, but the one thing I want to share for everyone is that over the years that I learned to become more secure with and confident with knowing who I am, like what my values are, what my desires are, my loves, the things that I love, my passions, like what I'm good at. The more I become confident and secure with like who I am and what I have to bring into this world, and what I like, what I don't like, and the ability to put boundaries also. That's a big one. Not pleasing everyone. Can't please everyone and everything all the time. Like being able to put boundaries. The more I become secure in that is the more serene and calm I become in like choosing where I want to put my energy. And that's also an element to it for me.
And one more thing you should probably think about is uh, if you consider that line again, oh, I'm gonna be grow up to be like you. Consider what you're teaching your kids. If you're
Mm,
showing that you're not taking care of yourself at all, if you're really relying on, say, like quickly available, um, I don't know, it would be alcohol or junk food or cigarettes to just kind of get by because you're so depleted all the time. Well, what are you teaching them in that case? And in that sense, you wanna give them the full picture of what being healthy is, and that might be working out or taking that yoga class or following your dreams to a reasonable extent. You don't do that, and they grow up to be like you. Then, I mean, just imagine that parent that they're gonna grow up to into being, and imagine them exhausted and sad
beautiful.
and broken like you,
Beautiful.
and know that you don't want that. You definitely don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we've come to the end of our session for today. And so it's important to summarize. So we started off today, we introduced ourselves. My buddy, main man here, Mr. Gill, is an amazing audio sound engineer, a software engineer who works for Waves Audio, one of the guys at Waves. I'm Big Papa Shim. We got into a beautiful meditation that was spontaneous, where we focused on getting present and letting go of all the things that are getting in our way and just getting into the moment. And then we got into an amazing song, Cats in the Cradle, by Harry Chapin, and we nerded out on the music. We came out by saying that we're pretty sure there's both an acoustic guitar and a sitar going on in that main riff. We nerded out on the bass line and on the violins. Oh, and I forgot to ask you if you think I didn't hear any keyboards or like pianos in there, but not for now. I didn't hear any of that. And we used the song as a jumping off point, and we got into what's it like to be a dad nowadays? What's it like to be a dad nowadays who chooses I want to put more into my kids and not just wake up when I'm 65 and have grandkids and my kids don't have time for me. And I want to teach my kids, we want to teach our kids what it's like to have a good, healthy, work life, family, self care balance so that they can learn to do that for themselves as well. And let's finish off by setting an intention that we want to be more present. Even us present dads, while we're with the kids, we want to be more present. Like our mind
Right.
and our energy actually there. Not, oh yeah, I'm with the kid, but I'm on my phone. So
And you know what? And you know what? Let me flip that too. Let us be more present in recognizing when we need that time off and when we can actually be present in the way we might want. And so take that time so we can be more present when we are able to be present. If that makes any sense.
I love it. Thank you, my main man, Mr. Gill.
All right, man.
All
Thank you
right.
for having me.